dry. And so those are reasons, that's later in the game. We want to intervene early.
All right, so Cynthia, I want to bring you into this conversation because I imagine if you're having a hard time in your sex life, it's an uncomfortable conversation. Personally, I just stop answering their calls, but I'm sure if you're married, it's a little bit trickier than that. It's a little bit trickier because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You might be embarrassed. So how do you have that conversation with your partner?
You're absolutely right. And I just want to echo what Dr. Sheila said. I think a lot of women were raised with this idea that painful sex is normal and you just sort of grin and bear it, put up with it. If something is painful, something is not right, and you do not have to suffer in silence. So that's a first step. Whenever you're in a moment, something is painful, stop the activity right away and refocus on something that does feel more pleasurable. The second tip that I would give is the good part about the times that we're living in is that we are having these conversations. So there's no shortage right now of articles, of podcasts, of things you can send your partner in advance. This segment might be one of those things in order to get that conversation going. So you might want to have that conversation, the next one, the more fulsome one, outside of the bedroom. A little bit of a less sensitive arena, right? And the third thing is that if you have access to a therapist, use it. There are great also relationship coaches out there. If you're lucky enough to have a doctor who's sex positive like Dr. Sheila, let them help you navigate this conversation if it feels particularly uncomfortable.
Okay, so a lot of people watching going, you know what, maybe that's me. So what options exist, Dr. Sheila, for treating vaginal dryness?
Right, so there's so many great options available. We have treatment options that actually target to repair the tissue and maintain the tissue. And then there's symptom relief options. So treatment options, our mainstay of treatment is vaginal estrogen. So it's local estrogen treatment that we apply with a cream, a suppository, or tablet. If you're not comfortable with that, we have oral options that are now available that are newer. And there's also vaginal DHEA, which is another option. The other options that exist for symptom relief specifically are vaginal moisturizers like for Cleanse that you apply twice a week for folks who may have mild symptoms or they want something to just help in that moment. That can be really helpful as well. The other option is lubrication. Lubrication is very helpful. I think that that's something that everyone should use. It can be helpful more for friction support during intimacy. That's really helpful as well. It doesn't treat the tissue, but it helps with discomfort. And the final thing is if you have discomfort with sex, your muscles in your pelvic floor will be really tight. And so one of the other treatments that I always pair with anything that we're offering is pelvic floor physiotherapy, because you need to repair the tissues and the response and the muscle response in order to have intercourse comfortably.
Okay, so Cynthia, take us into the bedroom or maybe outside of the bedroom, and you want to talk to your partner and maybe say, hey, I'd like to use vaginal moisturizer. How do we broker that conversation?
Well, first of all, unless you're the type of person who wants to tell your partner that when you started up with a new moisturizing routine on any part of your body, like maybe you're that person that got a new cream, you don't have to actually tell your partner. It's not like lube, which comes up during sex play, and so you might want to have that conversation beforehand. Moisturizers are used, as you indicated, a few times a week. They can be inserted using an applicator or with your fingers, the clean fingers, and so that can happen behind closed doors. So unless you really want to share that with your partner, you don't have to.
All right, so what if you're having painful sex and you're nervous to start having sex again? What advice do you give that person?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest three advice tips that I would give is first to start by taking it extremely slow. And I think I often say in the buffet of sex, there are many different courses. Intercourse is one of those courses, but actually outer course is a very important course. And women will report reliably, the most percentage of women have reliable orgasms through activities that don't necessarily involve penetration. The second thing I would say is make it playful. This doesn't have to be some serious, apologetic conversation. And I think one of the thoughts that came to my mind is that game that we've all probably played at one point in time, which is hot, cold. So if you're in sort of a sexy situation, you can indicate to your partner where they're going, if they're getting warmer, boiling hot, scorching hot, or if they're getting cooler, if they're getting into areas that are less pleasurable for you.
Or she's having a hot flash.
Or she could be having a hot flash. Might want to tease that out a little bit. Good point. I mean, the last thing I'll just say is that intimacy with a person and connectedness is about so much more than penetration. So take this opportunity to be curious, to be gentle on yourself and on your partner, and have fun.
And Dr. Sheila, are you ever too old to have sex?
Absolutely not.
Good. I love
It's so important. Some of the healthiest vaginas that I've seen are in my 70 and 80-year-old patients.
Really?
They are active, they are using lubrication, they're using moisturizer, they're using the estrogen that they need, and they are actively sexually active. They have healthy vaginas because there's more blood flow to the area. Sexual health is health. If when you are sexually active, it helps your heart health, it helps you sleep better, it helps your mood. We do not have to suffer with this. We have treatments available. Please talk about it. let's shout it from the rooftops. Let's get help, because there are options available, and we can have healthy sexual lives for the rest of our lives.
Right to the end, baby. Oh my gosh, Dr. Sheila and Cynthia, this has been so fun. Thank you. I love that we're breaking stigma. Listen, good news to everybody here in our audience. Thanks to our friends at Replen. Cynthia and Dr. Sheila will be live on Instagram today at 4 p.m. Eastern, answering all of your questions about sex as we age, including how to jumpstart your libido, communicate your desires to your partner if you want to start being intimate again. You do not want to miss it, so please tune into that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.